welcome back to another episode of the podcast. So we rebranded the podcast recently. It's now called Empower You, where I'm really curating all the different stories from different people about how they overcame different obstacles on their own and really sharing those stories with you because the more we can hear what others are doing, the more we can believe in ourselves of what we can also achieve for ourselves too. So today in this episode, I have Leo come back to share with us a different story this time. She is sharing with us the power of our words and our self-talk and how we can really become aware of the words that we use to tell ourselves and how they affect our emotions directly, how it affects how we see the reality around us, and also how it can create a new reality for us. So I'm super excited to share this episode with you. Stay tuned because she will talk about some crazy things, how our emotions and our words that we use can also affect the water molecular and the crystals inside the water. And at the very end, we'll also give you a challenge to how to become more aware of your own words. So stay tuned. And here we are with another episode with Leo. Enjoy. Welcome back to another episode with Leo coming back to us for a second time. Actually, truthfully, this is her third time coming back. We tried to record the second one, and we're having so many technical difficulties, and we just figured, hey, that was just not the time for us. The universe had wanted us to take a little break, and then we'll come back all refreshed, talking about another subject that Leo's going to share with us today that she's so passionate about all the words that we use, and then the self-talk. So I'm super, super excited to dive into this topic. I have no idea what she's going to bring to us. So it's all going to be, we're going to all discover it together. So welcome back, Leo. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me fired up, charged up, jacked up about today. This is literally my favorite subject besides edification. So I hope you guys are ready. Buckle up. We're going to have a blast together. And I know that you're going to walk out of here, just have that thought process that, wow, I can do so much with my words. I can impact my life and other people around me. So it's going to be good, guys. And thank you, Suzanne, for trusting me with your audience and allowing me to add value to them.
Of course. And so tell us a little bit about why are words so important for us.
Okay.
Let's start off with that.
Yeah, so I didn't learn the importance of words until the amazing business I had a chance to be a part of. I know I touched a little bit on that last time, but yeah, I mean, our words shape our lives, right? One of our mentors in the business, he says, you live at the level of which you speak. Isn't that good? My other mentor,
Yeah.
he says, speak what you want that you don't yet have. Don't speak what you have that you don't want. How many of you guys,
Ooh.
okay, and I don't say this
Wait.
side.
Let's back up a little
Oh, okay,
bit.
back up.
Can you say that again
Sure.
slowly?
Speak what you want that you don't yet have. Don't speak what you have that you don't want. As a human being, we always speak what we see, right? This is what I see. You know what I mean? I'll give you a primary example. So I lived in Atlanta for 18 years, and Atlanta has really bad pollen. Like everybody has allergies there for some reason. And I'm so grateful. I have never, ever experienced allergies, you guys. None. I have no allergies in my life, period. I don't mean to put this, minimize in any sort of way. Okay. But I'm just like, it makes me think. I'm like, how come I've lived there for so long? Everybody around me has allergies, but I never. Because every single time people start talking about allergies and that season is coming around, I'm like, no, I would never. I'm too healthy for allergies. I would never ever have allergies, even here. So when I hear like negative things that people are saying, I never accept it. I never receive it. But when I hear good things, oh yeah, totally. Leo's in line. I'm next for sure. Right? So my first encounter when we first get into the business, our number one goal is to learn how to speak right. Learning how to develop a winning speech pattern. Right? So whenever I would say, oh, my business isn't going well to my mentor, Sudha, she'd be like, no, don't say that. Oh my gosh, no one's joining my business. I can't stand it. Don't say that. Literally, the first 3 months, all I would hear her say is, Leo, don't say this, don't say that. And I was so annoyed, you guys. Like, I'm so grateful for my mentor at the time. I loved her dearly, but she was always nagging me with this phrase. I was like, why? This is reality. And she's like, do you want it? If not, don't speak it. I'll say that one more time. If you don't want it, don't speak it, because you're literally giving it life.
Wow. Okay, let's dive a little deeper on that, because this is something that I'm also learning for myself is, why are the words that we say so important, and how does that relate to our reality?
I think that's just how God designed it. Words are just powerful. Words are containers for power. You cannot change the law of the universe, right? Like, you can say all day, oh, I don't believe in gravity. I don't believe. Okay, fine. Go up to the 18th floor, right? I'll say, go to the 200th floor and jump down. And then keep uttering, I don't believe in gravity, and see what you will end up being, like a puddle, right? So you cannot argue with the law of God. Like, whatever we sow, I'm sowing apples. I can't keep expecting oranges. It makes no sense. Right? So if this is the law, I'm going to abide by it, and I'm going to take full advantage of it. I was just watching it as a refresher. I'm like, I have got to share this story. Have you guys ever heard of, have you, Suzanne, ever heard of Dr. Emoto with the water experiment and the rice experiment?
No, tell me about that.
What? Okay, get out. Oh my gosh, you guys. All right, so the first experiment that I watched was on water. So you guys know that water has like energy, and it can retain, what's the word that he used? Oh, it has memory. Okay, memory, right? So he did the experiment where he had 3 jars of water, okay? And each jar he would label it. One jar was love and gratitude. The other one was evil. The other one was ignorance, and just different words that he'll label the jar. And after, I think it was 2 weeks or a month, the snowflakes that were formed, or like the form of whatever that was in the water, was astounding, you guys. The jar that was labeled love and gratitude, the snowflakes were so beautiful, absolutely stunning. And I'm going to text this to Suzanne, and I'm sure she'll share this link with you guys. The jar that had the word evil, just the word evil on there, it was just a blob. No snowflakes forming whatsoever. On the jar that had the word ignore, there was the shape of the snowflake was not pretty at all. It was just like blah, right? And you guys know snowflakes are supposed to be pretty. So what does that mean? Like, if a snowflake is responding to different labels and words because it's made up of water, you guys, we're human beings. We are made up of 70% water. So imagine when you speak negative things about yourself and to yourself and for yourself and with yourself, versus me speaking life to Suzanne, speaking life into her, about her, for her, with her, right? Look who she could be, right? The snowflake that she will be. It's epic.
Wow.
Yep.
So that's the power of the words that we use to tell ourselves. And we often tell really, really nasty things. We judge ourselves so much. You're so ugly. Why do you look that way? I hate how my body looks. All these things are affecting how the snowflakes show up in our body.
Absolutely. So bottom line is, your words affect you and others. Period. End of discussion. We can just go ahead and sign off right now. I'm done.
All right.
Right? Yeah. And I'll give you another example. Yes. I'll tell you something. My hair has been falling out like crazy. And with girls, like, how could your hair fall? Right? Just like stress and different things. I have no idea, you guys. So I started doing like different things and experimenting with like shampoos and putting natural remedy. Maybe I could share that another time. But I started to say, my hair's so strong, so long, and so thick. My hair is getting stronger, longer, and thicker every day. And as I'm doing my hair, guys, and I started doing this maybe a week ago, just being more adamant about it, I'm like, wait, my hair is getting thicker. Even my manager's like, your hair is getting thicker, Leo. I'm like, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
And I have yet to tell you about my skin. Okay, so beginning of this year, I wrote that I'm going to have glass skin. I wrote that my goal, right? And my skin was horrible, you guys. I had such severe skin damage in 2019. If I show you a picture, you won't even recognize me. It was so bad. I had like patches of discoloration everywhere, like flakiness. I had rosacea, I had psoriasis, I had eczema. Okay, need me to say more, right? And I had to start literally speaking life over my skin.
Wow.
And look at my skin now.
Wow.
So,
It's
guys.
beautiful. And just so we can describe
Thank
it to
you.
whoever's just listening to us, Leo's skin is literally glowing on camera. And I can see how smooth it is and much more healthier. I haven't seen her before, but it does not look like at all of what she was describing before. So
thank you so much, Suzanne. So yeah, I'm telling you guys, if you get this revelation, your life will change forever. This is one of the biggest things I teach my daughter every day. You need to know the power of your words. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so how do you use that for yourself right now in your current phase of life?
Okay, good. I have many examples. I have stories for days, Suzanne. I'm sanguine, so I can tell stories, okay? So the most recent one is because I just resettled back in the States. I had to move to Dallas. I haven't had a car in like 4 years, and like I didn't need a car. So it's been such a transition because I had to literally Uber every like 5 days a week to work, costing me about $700 every month. And you guys know that is a lot of money for freaking Uber, right? But so I was like, dude, I'm writing this down. So it's one thing to speak. Okay, first thing is we have to get rid of our negative words, right? But second thing is we have to speak what we want. Okay? So I would write out a self-talk, and that's like the next thing I'm going to dive into. So whatever it is that's your goal, you need to write it out. And I don't write it every day. I write it once. It's my self-talk for my car. And I said, and I'm going to text Suzanne this afterwards so she can literally testify for this, okay? I'm getting my car by April 26th, 2024. I'm getting my car, so I'll read it like 5-10 times a day. The more, the better. There was this one time in my life, 2019 was the year that I quit my job. I literally had such intensity regarding this goal. I read my self-talk almost 100 times a day, you guys, because every time I am putting these words out, right, I'm calling it from the spiritual realm into the physical realm. So the more I would say it, the faster it manifested. If you don't believe me, test it. Okay, but on top of that, I did not go and speak it out. Like I wouldn't say, oh man, like, oh, I'm getting my car by April the 26th, 2024. And then I go and talk to my mom or my sisters and like, oh, I don't even know when I'm going to get my car. I don't know when it's coming. See, I don't wobble back and forth, you guys. It's like doing the dance, right? And then you're putting like 5 steps forward and then you take 10 steps backward. That does not work. You're wasting time. Once you are committed to speaking, to having this positive self-talk, you are hanging on to it like your life depends on it, right? Mm-hmm. You are literally biting it like a bulldog. I will not let go, God, until you answer my prayer. And you know what? Getting a car and going to work and being able to build a life here is pleasing to God. So why would he give it to me? Right? And I notice like sometimes I just fall off the wagon. I'm like, when am I going to find this car? At the very beginning, because the transition was so hard, you guys, when I moved here in November 2023. And at times I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. It's whatever. And that was when I was just kind of like lazy. Like I knew what to do, but I just got lazy and I felt so demotivated. But when you say nothing, God was like, Leo, I need you to work with me. Because when you say nothing, guess what? Nothing happens. Congratulations.
Wow. Yeah. Right? And so how long was it that you were writing that goal for your car? And did it happen in April?
Yeah, so when I first wrote it, I wrote it for March. Didn't happen in March. Sometimes with your goals, you have to switch it, right? You have to update it. So I had to update it a few times. But when I got intense, I wrote it in March, and then I had to change it by the end of March. It didn't happen. I'm like, the end of April, it's absolutely happening. So because I got very intense in reading my self-talk. Right? And when you read your self-talk, guys, it makes you feel so alive. Why? You're depositing such good things on the inside of you. And you will just have this fire. Oh, yeah. And then you're like, God, you said this. You said that when I say something, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, call those things that are not as though they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to add something to that. And it sounds like what's happened when throughout this journey of writing down those goals and speaking that back to ourselves, like nowadays, affirmation is something, the buzzword that's been going around. And we can tell ourselves, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. But your brain goes like, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Right. And when you use those words, but you don't believe it, or your brain tells you that I don't believe any of the words that you're saying, it's almost counterproductive to for you to achieve what you want. And so one thing that I learned from Tony Robbins is when you use those affirmations, he actually called those incantations, where it sounds like exactly what Leo did is when she made it so intense and the emotions started flooding her entire body as she was saying those words. Those two combined, the words and the emotions, that's what made it happen, I believe. And so it's not enough just to say those words back to yourself, especially when your brain tells you, I don't believe any of the words that are coming out of your mouth. But it's really feeling those emotions, like, how does it make me feel when I get that car and get that excitement inside of you? And I think that's what happens when you talk about the intensity of it, because you got super excited about it.
Yeah,
Is that what happened?
absolutely. You're right. Yeah. And you just speak it and your emotions will follow. And that literally, thank you, Suzanne. It brings me to my next point. Can I do a quick experiment with you?
Yes,
Yay!
please.
Okay, cool. I learned this from Pastor Creflo Dollars. I need to give him credit. He's an amazing pastor. All right, Suzanne, so I would love for you to count 1 to 10 in your head. And then when I say your name, then you say your name. Okay, ready?
Okay.
I'm going to say 1, 2, 3,
Yep.
and then you start counting. 1,
Okay.
2, 3. Say your name.
Suzanne,
Okay, did you keep counting or your counting stopped?
my counting stopped.
Yeah, so your words will overpower what you're thinking. If you're having that negative thought, right? Oh, your skin looks bad, Leo. Nope, I have beautiful skin. I have beautiful skin. My skin is just glowing, it's flawless. Like, none of this is true, right? And then as I go into there, so what happens is I used to bring my self talk in a ripped sheet of paper, okay, on a ripped sheet of paper. Why? Because I would take it out and I literally would say it every single day regarding my skin. My skin is smooth, my skin is flawless, no more rosacea, blah, blah, blah. And I have the ultimate secret natural remedy to get rid of rosacea and eczema and psoriasis. So if anybody needs it, it's free. I'll give it to Suzanne and she'll give it to you guys, okay?
That was a very interesting experiment because yes, our self-talk, the words that we use, it completely shifts our focus right away in just that short example. And so one thing I want to ask you, Leo, is how do we even become aware of, hey, I'm telling myself that negative talk? What does that look like? And how do we know to switch it?
Okay, so you have to start monitoring yourself, you guys, right? If you have a tendency, and sometimes we think it's funny. Honestly, I don't think it's funny. And I used to be an extremely sarcastic person. I just love when things are funny. And if I need to like tease somebody to get a cheap laugh out of it, I would. But I have changed so much to the point where if I'm saying certain things and it's like, oh, just for laugh, I'm like, no, I won't do it. It's not worth it. Saying things like, oh, I can never eat that. If I even sniffing it causes me to gain weight, right? You've heard that. Come on. I'm like, no, I never gain weight. I can eat whatever I want. Seriously. Don't say those things. It's not funny because your spirit doesn't know when you're joking and when you're for real. Right? So your body and your spirit and your soul is going to line up based on your words. Your words control your DNA. It controls everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And can I add something to that? Because I believe that when we make a joke about something, we're actually believing in it. We may mask it as, oh, it's a joke.
Yeah.
I'm making fun of it. But you
Yep.
wouldn't have thought of saying those words if you don't think about that thought. So I believe that even though it's a joke, we still think at some level that is true.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why there's another script that says, out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. It's so filled up in there to the brim. It has to come out. when you start to catch that, you're like, nope, not saying it. Or if you already said it, just say, I rebuke those words. I don't believe in it.
Mm.
I don't believe in them. Right? For me, I'm a Christian. I say, God, I'm so sorry I said those words. Please forgive me. Please help me to come up higher. And Holy Spirit reminds me when I'm speaking negative things. And those words, they fall to the ground and they do not bear harvest. Nope, not receiving them.
That's a really good point, because when our physical reality doesn't show us what we want and we start doubting it, it's like, how do I get the heck out of this reality? But you said something that was really beautiful, because I'm already experiencing this. So what would it hurt for me to say these new things to myself and see what happens? Because you're already experiencing something that you don't want. So might as well give it a try.
Yeah, absolutely. We have nothing to lose. Rather than sitting there and just like wallowing in your negativity, right? And I noticed, same thing with me, right? Whenever we're attacked mentally, we usually don't want to open our mouth because we're so tired. We're so drained, right? We're so out of it. Why would I even like exert the strength to open my mouth to say otherwise? But that's where the battle is. The battle's in our mind. So you defeat it with your words.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so let's dive into that a little bit, because we're so tired or we're just so frustrated sometimes with our reality. How do you get the energy for you to want to even create those new words for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the question to you guys is, do you want it bad enough? I've been teaching English for the past 4 years, and I'll meet lots of Vietnamese students or just different people saying, oh, I would love to learn English. I want to speak it like you and blah, 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 blah. I always tell them there's like 4 or 5 stages. You have to go from thinking, oh, that's such a good idea to learn English, to the part of saying, I must learn English, period. Because people would ask, like, why do you have this motivation to learn Cantonese? Like, how do you learn Cantonese all these years? And my fire continues to burn on the inside of me. And Suzanne knows this about Cantonese. Like, I love Cantonese so much. There's something that sparks on the inside of me when I'm able to speak it, you guys. Everything about Hong Kong lights me up, right? And one of the biggest motivation, I'm like, in 2026, I'm going to do my first motivational talk in Cantonese. Like, I know.
Oh my goodness.
And when I talk about Hong Kong, everybody thinks I've been there. It's so weird. They're like, oh, how long were you there for? Did you like it? I'm like, huh? I've never been to this place. So I guess I'm just a very extreme, passionate person. And this has been in my spirit for 30 years. I can't get rid of Hong Kong, you guys. And Hong Kong is like this man that I fell in love with. Oh, my heart. That type of thing. But yeah, like, I must learn Cantonese. If you don't get there, you're done. Oh, it's a good idea. I think it's great. It's awesome. No, that doesn't work.
That's awesome. And I want to also emphasize that, yes, Leo may sound passionate and that's who she is. And then if you're listening to her and you're like, well, I'm not a passionate person, how the hell am I going to do with what Leo's teaching us, right? You don't need to have that passion. You don't need to have that energy like Leo does. We can all do that. And it's just about taking one baby step at a time. It's like, what do I have to lose? And do I want to stay in this current situation where my reality is showing things that I don't like? And if I can hear from Leo that, oh, maybe I have the power to change that. Yeah, of course I want something better, right? And just that desire, simple desire of wanting something better for yourself, I think it's worth a try. We may not all have Leo's passion or Leo's energy, and that is okay, because all these things that she's teaching us can be applied in any situation, in any type of person, whether you're introvert, extroverted, doesn't matter. It's all the universal laws.
You're right about that, Suzanne. And I received this text from one of my mentees that I've been kind of like serving in the past 4 months. We've been doing this project, right? So I woke up around 4 something in the morning text. I'm like, what in the world? This makes no sense. I've been teaching them the power of edification, and we are out there, you guys, serving and impact the Vietnamese community, right? And this one mentee of her, she is like super introverted. And it's only been 3 weeks into this. She's like, I can't even stop talking now. So don't get me started with edification, okay? And then that topic is all about words. Like, our words are so important. Okay, so if you're low energy, you may not be as passionate, you're in life where you don't really want to be, I just challenge you, start today. and just start monitoring your words, right? If you're about to say something, nope. Suzanne said, nope, don't say it. Nope, I remember what Suzanne said in the podcast, right? And if you already said it, it's okay. Pat yourself on the back. Hey, good job. You caught it, right? You're going to get better.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. And so throughout your journey of learning about self-talk, I want to ask you two questions.
Mm-hmm.
How does that change your relationship with the people that you interact with? And then second is, how did that change your relationship with yourself?
First part of the question is, I think every single person that I interact with, somehow, some way, I want to instill this principle into them, right? The power of self-talk. My coworker, prime example, you guys, she always complains about her weight. I'm so fat and I'm always gaining weight and blah, blah, blah. Look at this. And blah. I'm like, Eden, do you want it? If you don't want it, don't say it. And I make a joke out of it, sort of, just to not make it so harsh. I'm like, I'm going to pinch you every time you say a negative word, Eden, right? So like in the first 2-3 weeks, I'm literally like that. Oh, Eden, come here, let me pinch you. Like pinch her a little bit, right? And then at some point she's like, oh, I'm going to pinch myself. She pinches herself, you guys, right? And then she went home to her mom. And mind you, I've been working with her for 4 months. She brought her mom from Eritrea all the way down to South Africa because her mom hasn't been feeling well. She needs to be taken care of by the relatives. And her mom on the plane, she was literally negative the whole time. So she says, Leo, what I did the Leo thing. My mom was complaining. She says, Mom, stop complaining. Do you want this or not? If you keep speaking negative, this is what it's going to be like. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so frustrating. So honestly, like today, right before I got on here, this one gentleman, he did the rice experiment. I'll tell you guys about the rice experiment in a minute. But he's like, you should never be a thermometer, right? Where the temperature in you is set. You've been like this for years, you guys. You should be a thermostat that every single environment you step into, you are going to set it. You are going to set it with your words. And I do it so much with her, and I'm very gracious with it, you guys. I'm very gentle. I'm not a gentle person. I used to be very harsh, very sharp, very pressing. I was just mean, right? And I would say, oh, I love people. That doesn't make sense. Like, there's no congruency in that, right? But Jesus has transformed my heart, so here I am. But yeah, for sure. Okay, so the second part, what's the second question again, Suzanne?
How did that affect your relationship with yourself?
I'm pretty sure that it literally transformed everything on the inside of me. And it just it ignited and it deposited something that's like related to my calling. Right? So Suzanne is very clear regarding my calling, and I've gotten clearer regarding it in the past like 5 years, but for sure like in the past 1 to 2 years. Right? And my calling has everything to do with words, you guys. And now that I look back, I'm like starting to connect the dots, right? My gifts and my talents, my abilities, my passion. So I study fashion, and I noticed that when I talk about fashion, I would never just say, oh, your shirt looks nice or your outfit looks nice. I'm very detailed and I'm very elaborate about it. And then I also used to be a food vlogger. And if Suzanne cooked something for me, I would just never be like, oh, this tastes really good, Suzanne. And it's nothing wrong with that. But I'm like, girl, this is so amazing. I love the texture. I love how you wove everything together. And it just hits my mouth. I'm just very lengthy and elaborate about words. Right? Because it connects my calling. So had I not learned this in the business, that's why I always tell people, this business I was in, it just radically transformed my life. Right? And God knew I need to be trained regarding the power of words. You know, nowadays, my mom, if I'm like feeling, I was really down back in November, December when I transitioned back. So I would be so negative to my mom, you guys. And I knew the law, right? She's like, don't say this. Oh, you're not supposed to say this. God's going to help you. He's going to protect you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I don't care anymore. I just want to die. That kind of thing, you know? I'm done. Yeah, they have to remind me. My mom knows it. My one sister knows it. She literally spoke a car into existence when she first moved to Atlanta like 16 years ago. And then she's very adamant about self-talk. Right? I don't call it affirmation so much. I call it self-talk because that's where the background that I had came from. But yeah, it's the same thing. And okay, one last thing. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Regarding, okay, you guys know witches. They cast spells, right?
Mm,
How
yeah.
do they cast spells? With their words.
Mm, yeah. I love that you're also spreading it to the people around you as well, because and you stand so true to it and you hold people accountable to the words that they use because you don't want them to experience whatever they're using or they're telling themselves that's coming out of their mouth. So I love
Yeah.
that you're
Thank
holding the
you.
people accountable around you.
Thank you. So when I see
Yeah.
you, Suzanne, if I hear it, I'll pinch you, but I'm sure I won't hear it out of you. I'll pinch you
Oh,
lightly, okay?
I'm still work in progress. There's still things that I probably am still telling myself that I'm not even aware of. So I
Yeah.
love
Okay,
that.
we'll hold each other accountable. Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so what is your next step for yourself with your own words that you tell yourself? What is your
Mm,
next level for you?
good. So I have been falling off the wagon regarding this. I have not been as intense because I usually would have a
Mm.
self talk from different areas of my life, right?
Mhm.
Finances and work wise and all that stuff. But I have not been writing anything. So one of my coworkers, he's
Mm.
just mentioned, oh, like he has this affirmation, blah 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 blah. So I was like, oh yeah, Brian sent it over to me. So I started doing it yesterday, guys. Amazing day at work, right? And I'm like, I know this, dude. Get with the program. So I'm so excited because we're wrapping up half of this year already. Can you guys believe it? This year
Yes.
zips by. It's insane. So
Yes.
I'm taking 3 weeks off of social media. Suzanne, don't miss me too much, okay?
What? Where are you
Yes,
gonna be?
I know. I'm gonna be in Cabo. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm taking 3 weeks off because I'm wrapping up a project I've been so intense with regarding my mentees in Vietnam. Because when I do projects and I serve my mentees, guys, I am all in. And I have to exert so much energy and effort in reference to my calling, but I love it. And I wouldn't do it any other way. I would never be half-hearted. Like I would never post something about my mentee that's half-hearted. 2 sentences. I'm like, wait, what?
Mm.
What does this do? It's just
Mm.
not. It's not me, right? So I
Right.
know I'm about to be done. I've made the impact. It's time for Leo to rest and get filled up and
Mm.
recharged. I am going to have a whole list of my self-talk all in place so I can get ready for the last part of this year, right? Because I've
Mhm.
got another project planned. I'm doing my last test before I launch out, and I launch this desire, this dream that's been in my heart for 7 years, you guys, 7 years. And I'm launching in Vietnam, so that's why I'm going to Vietnam next year in February. And yeah, just to set Vietnam on fire on a whole new level.
Oh my god. Oh
Yep.
my god. And I want to touch back on this point because I recently realized this for myself too. It's the thing that you've always obsessed over in your life, and it sounds like for you is how you use your words and how you really elaborate on how you feel, and rather than just a compliment, oh it's nice, and you add in the words, but then that's something that you've sounds like you've obsessed over in your whole life. And now
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that's a gift that we all have. And for some reason, this obsession that we have, even on something so, I don't want to call it small, but almost
Mm-hmm.
unconscious to you, Leo, because
Mm-hmm.
you've always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But because it's so natural for you, that is a
Yeah.
gift that you're born with. And now I believe it's something that this is part of your purpose for you to fulfill on
Yeah.
this lifetime. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to share this because often what's something so natural for us that we take for granted, like you for your words, for me, that would be like, oh, I don't do that. And so it becomes something that I would be curious about how Leo does it,
Mm.
but really observe into what's natural for you that you've always thought of doing. For
Yep.
me, it's always like how I process information is how do I take something so simple? So maybe
Mm.
that's something so complicated, and how can I simplify it so that
Mm.
I can understand, and then how can I explain that to
Yeah.
other people? And that's
Yeah.
something that's how my mind works. And now that I realize it, that's a gift that I was born with, and I'm supposed to
Mm.
share this gift as part of my purpose on this earth. It sounds
Yep.
like how the heck do I make a job or career out of this thing? But the reason I'm sharing this is because I want all of us to kind of look into what are you really
Mhm.
good at, and
Yep.
that's comes so naturally to you. And
Yep.
that's maybe part of the purpose of what you can do with yourself, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right, Suzanne. I'm so glad that you realized that for yourself because not everyone
Mm-hmm.
can do that. For me, because I think you're in IT, right?
Yeah, I was in engineering.
Yeah. And I was like,
Yeah.
how do you guys think like that? My
Right.
mentors are all engineers. And I'm like, because they're all Indians. I'm like, what is it that you guys eat? Is it the curry? Why are you guys so smart? I don't
Right.
get it. You know, probably not the rice because we eat rice too, right? But yeah, I always admire engineers in the way that they think.
Mm.
Like their minds are just
Mm-hmm.
so complex, you guys. And like they're deep thinkers, right? That's just not me. If I ever am like a deep thinker and I'm like a surgeon and I'm operating on you, I'm like, wait, which body part again are we operating on today? Can you just wake up and tell me? Oh, yeah, like, it just doesn't work.
Right.
So, but yeah, start connecting the dots, you guys. If you need to, like, ask different friends that are really close to you. Ask them, like, hey, what am I good at? And start remembering and collecting compliments from others. You know, what do you hear all the time? Like my one coworker, dude, he's so freaking creative. He just finished our PDFs for our sales. He does all the visuals in the store and he does it with ease. Like whatever you're good at, it's just so easy for you. It just flows out of you.
Yeah.
Right? And best thing is ask God. He made you. He knows. So yeah, I'm sure give yourself a goal from now until the end of May. Right? You have another week or maybe give yourself 2 weeks. I'm going to start connecting the dots. Like I'm good with this, right? I'm not so good with this. And you should look into 4 personality types. That's really going to help you connect it as well. 4 personality types: sanguine, phlegmatic, choleric, and melancholic. And also look into love languages. That has something to contribute as well.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
And so to wrap up this episode, because Leo's gonna come back for more,
we're gonna talk
but
about
for this,
yeah, 2 hours.
We still have so many topics we want to talk about with Leo. She has so much to share. So to wrap up this current episode, what is one recommendation that you would give to our audience to start implementing this concept of self-talk?
Okay, good. So go look up or get the book Self-Talk by Shad Helmstetter. Shad Helmstetter. Okay? The book is very thin. This is literally the first book that we had to read in the business. Because imagine yourself learning English without knowing ABCs, you guys. It would never work. Second thing is maybe list out 1 or 2 areas that you want to start testing, like something small. Because if you can test something small and you start to see results, you're going to be like, man, this works, right? Yeah. So maybe test 2, 3 areas of your life. Things. Eliminate all negative talk. So start to be more conscious. And then when you hear yourself, you're like, nope, don't receive that, right? I rebuke that. It falls to the ground. It bears no harvest. And then most importantly, guys, forgive yourself.
Thank you so much, Leo, for sharing your wisdom again with us. Love your energy, love your passion. And one thing I want to close off with is we are not that special, you guys. We're still human beings trying to figure out our journey. We're still work in progress. And so one thing I want to leave you with is we're all diverse in the way that we each have our own gifts and our own talents that we're so naturally good at. And if we can do that as human beings, learning about self-talk and becoming aware and learning this as a new skill, you guys can do it too. So just want to share that if we can do it, you can do it too. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.